Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer action. Today we're here with Norsca, gonna be taking on the Beastmen, so a nice, fun, chaotic matchup. Should be pretty quick, honestly, as both of these factions are fast and brutal. So we've got a couple Marauder Horsemen up front, laying an ambush. These guys are the bait for the ambush here. We've got Ice Wolves and the Beasts of Tashnar, Manticore hanging around for terror, Throg leading the way, mixed infantry force of Marauders and Berserkers with 2 units of Famir, including the Mist Stalkers. And yeah, we've got a Fire Famir Balefiend as well for my Beastman opponent. He's got a heavy line of Besgor here, 5 Besgor, including the Man Rippers. We've got Ungor Raiders, 2 units of them, Morgor the Shadowgave, and a Bratian Lora Beast, yes, on a Pig Chariot. It's also got a couple of Centaurs here with some Hounds and some Ungor Spearman Herd, who I'm currently leading on a Wild Goose Chase. You can see I've sort of redeployed my forces here to sort of create a bit of a separation here. And we are going to draw these Marauder Horsemen back and try and get these Centaurs into an unfavorable situation. Go ahead and just countercharge here. You can see a few Marauders go for a ride there as they get unhorsed by the Centaurs, but as the Beasts of Tashnar and the Ice Wolves come in, that is going to turn around very, very quickly, and of course, because of the Frostbite, it's going to be very tough for those units to get away there, and they're just going to get torn to shreds. So mission mostly accomplished. We've also got the Manticore hunting this other unit of Centaurs. Meanwhile, on the front line, pretty brutal fight. And we're just going to stay close up because this is going to be absolutely savage here as these Famir just wreck on the Besgor with supporting infantry. Nice overcast burning head here. We'll do some okay damage to the heavily armored units, but definitely wrecking those Spearman Herd there, just clearing out some chaff. Unfortunately, my Marauders also getting absolutely punted on. The Besgor Herd here, you can see with their armor sundered by the Famir, the Berserkers will actually trade extremely cost efficiently into those Besgor Herd, especially once they get into their later stages of Enrage. They start to get more attack buffs. They will actually win out against the Besgor Herd in that situation. So, yeah, quite beneficial. Meanwhile, Throg coming in here, dueling the Pharaoh Manticore. We're also going to blast it with a... I say blast it with a fireball, and then it just completely misses. But anyway, Bray Shaman coming through. The Famir is going to get over here and get him a nice little tail swipe, sunder his armor a bit there, and hopefully get some good damage done. Kick him in the face, just stepping on the pig's face. Oh, man, the Balefiends are so haggard. I love it. Oh man, but you can see here, this side of my infantry force has pretty much been cleaned up. Those Berserkers and this unit of Famir Great Weapons routed off. These these Marauders also probably going to get routed off as well. That being said, we're sort of gathering up all the mobile remnants that had cleaned up, like the Hounds and my opponent's Besgor and everything else. They're going to come in this kind of second phase here. And I think I had just missed it, but oh no, not quite yet. Okay, so yeah, Bray Shaman here did get surrounded by the Miststalkers and took a ton of damage, getting terrified away. One of the reasons why I love the Miststalkers so much in this matchup is because the terror is so good against the Beastmen. Just having that kind of anchored terror presence in the front line with a heavy armored unit like that. Manticore also charges in here. It's a bit risky to just charge straight into the Man Rippers like this, but I just wanted to throw in as many resources as I could while I have these Berserkers online. They've got Fight or Die active. They're up to 80 melee attack with everything all said and done, so they'll be making solid contact here. With all these terror-causing units, I'm like, okay, let's throw a Burning Head in here just for the leadership effect, see if we can get these Besgor to run away. And they do, in fact, both get terrified away with that burnt leadership effect. Definitely playing a part there. And, yeah, getting some okay kills, up to 44 kills on the Balefiend so far, so pretty decent. But the Hounds are sweeping around. They've been chasing routing units, and now they've got the Bray Shaman in their sights. And, oh, man, Beastie Boy better run. Doggies like bacon, as it turns out. And they're just down to chew on these giant bones that are sticking out. I mean, just imagine, for those of you guys who have dogs, just imagine showing up with a bone this size. I mean, granted, these are big boys, right? So, anyway, I think we all should petition CA to, at some point, give Skarsnik a pet the dog animation, so to speak, where he pets, Gobla. Just because, the whole pet the dog thing. Anyway, I'm getting a bit sidetracked here as we are in a bit of a cleanup phase. Most of the Beastman units are offline. Morgor has used both of his Chaos Spawn summons, but we've been able to deal with both of them relatively effectively. There are still a few tattered units of Besgor, but mostly just using my mobile units now to kind of hit and run, chase routing units. various places here. Beast of Tashnar and Norscan Ice Wolves both racking up a ton of kills here, and the Ice Wolves just about have an XP chevron, nomming these Ungor Spearman herd. Hopefully we'll get them that last bit there, but regardless, Throg taking quite a bit of damage, but been able to regenerate quite a bit as well. Morker still fighting here for some reason. But yeah, that's not going to be long for this world. Meanwhile, over here, the Samir plus the Berserkers, again, just moving in, cleaning up on these Vestigor herds. Berserkers are pretty tattered. They probably won't last too long, but at the very least, the Famir can get some good armor-piercing damage in. And honestly, the Great Weapons, I think, unless you're planning on facing like a heavy cavalry faction, I don't know that the Great Weapons are necessarily worth it here. I was thinking maybe if my opponent had the Regiment of Renown Minotaurs, it might be worth it to have the Famir Great Weapons, but I don't know. I honestly think the regular Famir are just going to be a little bit more cost-effective here, unless you're facing like heavy cavalry or heavy flying monsters. I don't think that the Great Weapons are necessarily quite worth it, but anyway, still ended up turning out okay. Well played to my opponent. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that one. A nice little ambushing the Beastmen there, so a bit of turning the tables on them, but worked out okay. Both those units of Hounds racking up a ton of kills and just shutting down my opponent's mobile phase 100%. That meant that we were able to kind of dictate the pace of the battle from there. Of course, the Famir Balefiend providing some key support as well, using that Burning Head to do some good leadership damage, get some good terror routes going. Both units of Famir doing reasonably well. Obviously, the Miststalker is carrying a pretty heavy load there, 80 kills, most of which is probably Vestigor. But yeah, 44 on the Manticore. Didn't take too much damage, mostly just used it as a kind of mobile terror bomb, which is honestly a super great use for the Feral Manticore. At only 800 points, I think this thing is pretty cost-effective. Honestly, they could probably stand to increase the Feral Manticore from like 800 to like 850 to 900, and I think it would still probably be pretty cost-effective. Just for having a nice, cheap, reasonably decent combat monster that also causes terror. I mean, the AP values aren't amazing, but it does enough. Especially like a caster or something, that even like an armored caster, if they don't have great combat stats, the Manticore can definitely put a number on them. So yeah, honestly, I think that they could stand to increase the price on Manticores a little bit. But from my opponent's side, this matchup is potentially pretty tough for the Beastmen. Famir are a big pain to deal with, just because armored, for whatever reason, armored monstrous infantry are just kind of hard for the Beastmen to deal with. But Morker obviously is going to be the go-to pick in most matchups. I do like the sort of heavy Vestigor build there. I think I would go a little bit less heavy than he did there, and try and do some other things. Eye of Morsleep is honestly just such a good unit. Maybe I would take him there. Centaurs with throwing axes are going to be pretty good here. We'll also grab some Chaff Ungor Spearman herd. We do need a caster of some kind. I wonder how Spirit Leeching Famir does. I haven't actually tried that, but I might try it in this build and just see how it does. Along with that, you could potentially take Soul Blight to help sunder their armor, and then maybe your non-armor piercing spears can do a little bit more. Maybe you can do something like this. Cut one of those throwing axe Cav, and maybe take a couple of Ungor Raiders. Again, use the armor sundering of that Soul Blight there to help the Ungor Raiders do more damage to the Famir. I don't know that it would necessarily help a ton, just because you don't have a lot of other armor sundering options, but yeah, Eye of Morsleep can pound out high-value infantry at a distance and also kind of help control the flow of the battlefield here a little bit with Warp Gaze. Yeah, I might change things up a little bit from here, but something like this might be decent. Like I might cut one of these Centaurs here and maybe just like get some, I don't know, some Poison Warhounds just to pad out a little bit more numbers and help out in the mobility game a little bit. There's some different things you could do, but let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. What's been your experience in this matchup? Of course, Norsca is weak to elite halberds to a degree. Unfortunately, the Beastmen can only really bring one elite halberd because it's a regiment of renown. Vestigor herd are pretty decent in this matchup, but their relatively poor defensive stats means that they get pounded out pretty quickly as well. You know, they're just, you know, it's like two headstrong factions charging at each other. It's going to be a bloody trade regardless, so also don't take the length of that battle to really mean too much. Typically when these two factions fight, it is going to be a very, very quick affair. But nonetheless, a very fun battle, well played by my opponent. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.